Hey, it's just so Trish, and it's National 4-H Week, and as a homeschooler, I just want to talk to you like why 4-H is so big stuff for us, and why I use 4-H. And it's going to have to be quick because I'm almost at the bottom of my coffee. Okay, so I was a 4-H'er, which pretty much influences why my kids are 4-H'ers, but most of all, I use 4-H as our homeschool co-op, and I like it that way. And there's so many different reasons, and there's so many levels of doing it. You can actually use 4-H as your curriculum, and I've talked about that in several other videos about that. I've referenced some great homeschool blogs about it. So here's the big thing to know. 4-H is in every state in the United States. It is typically sponsored, promoted, not really, handled by one of the universities in the state, and then they have extension agents that then serve to promote 4-H. And 4-H is all about growing the experiences and training up children to be better adults for their society and for themselves and for their family and for their country. Kind of in the short of it. I'm going to actually link down below a couple of the 4-H videos that they've come out, and really sit and spend some time, and you really get a good grasp of what 4-H is. So, I like 4-H. I actually use 4-H as our homeschool co-op in lieu of a co-op because of so many reasons. I could do the same thing with like Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Heritage Girls, and the whole 9 yards, but I like 4-H because it's co-ed. It's based upon what you put into it is what you get out in that aspect. So in our area, there are specialized clubs. So if you want to be in about goats, I'll tell you the 5 that we're in. My kids are doing goats this year, so they go to a goat club. My kids are part of the arts and crafts club. My kids are part of the filmmaking club. My kids are part of the sewing club. My kids are part of the citrus club. So for sewing, I actually teach the sewing and the filmmaking. And what's nice about that is I'm using my YouTube skills to then share with other people. It's not a YouTube school. It's just about the ability to make videos, how to edit them, the whole 9 yards. For sewing, they learn the basics of sewing, and we kind of drive it based upon what the group can do, wants to do, and where they're going and what their aspirations are. Citrus is they actually grow a market tree, and then they sell the tree at the fair. Arts and crafts is just fun. And then the goat club, they show at the fair, and they may or may not sell the goats, is how it works out. Typically, like breeding stock, you don't sell your breeding stock. You can, but you don't have to. So doing these projects creates, there's always a record book, and at the end of the year, if you turn in your record book, it gets evaluated by like the standard of red, blue, or white. It goes blue is first, red second, white first, second, third place. You're not really being judged against other people, but you are being judged on the quality you put in. And you can put as little or as much. We have had times by the end of the year, we are just white ribbon record books. We did it. We did the record book. It was done, and that's what we had. But as they get older, I have higher expectations of what they're going to do with it. So why is this so great? So what's really cool is you're getting the whole, somebody other than your homeschool mom is judging your portfolio of what you learned. You're putting together what you learned. It's like unit studies, notebooking, but on a more external evaluation that isn't school but is fun, and it's based upon people that are interested. So you really get to have that kind of self-motivated unit study that mom didn't have to come up with curriculum that you show up to once a month, unless there's an activity or something going on. I love it. I don't know much about goats, but my kids can go be part of goats. I don't know much about citrus, but my kids could go be part of citrus. I know stuff about arts and crafts, but I don't want to do it. I just want to show up with the cookies sometimes. And it's all being done, and yet it gives opportunities for competitions and learning clinics and all of that they can go on and do if they want to do it. But they don't have to do it, which is why I like 4-H. So there's that aspect. That is like the very basic, fundamental grounds of going to 4-H. Second is then the opportunities for leadership. So my children have in the past participated as officers in their clubs. And now that they're into middle school, I am making sure that they're really training up to be a good officer. And they are already officers in several clubs, and they'll be officers in a couple other clubs, I'm certain of it. One of them, which is presidency. I am using, as homeschool mom, that opportunity and that real life, real world experience to then plug in a technology based learning experience for my kids to do that job better. So with that is learning how to use, we're using Google, we're using the Google Suite because, I mean, it's free software. It's so easy to access, it's so easy to keep, it's so easy to collaborate, that they'll build their agendas in there. They will build using the Google Slides, they will put together their presentation, and they'll help actually promote a very orderly meeting, which in our area isn't typical. And then on top of it, because it's the Google Suite and we're using all this technology, it allows access to the agent, how to, you know, kind of online collaborate with other members of the club and with their leaders. So they're getting that like real world leadership experience that you would need. And I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of adults that would be like, I need to learn that too. And so it's giving me the real world experience in that we're not just doing it to do it, you know, and there's no reason behind it. There's actually a real world reason. So we have that. There's also the aspect that there's competitions and speaking competitions, and they start as early as elementary school, and that they can compete. Look, there's actually sun there. No sun. But they can compete at different levels and really learn to polish themselves and defend themselves through questioning on a topic that they learned about. Now, sometimes does it not go really great? Yeah, of course, that's learning. But it also builds them up that they get better every year. So with all of this experience, oh, wait. So that's kind of county level, district level. Then there's state level, which is really cool too. Whatever it is, Florida's Florida4H.org, but every state has it, and they'll have like your 4-H website. It has all the different events that go on, all the different opportunities. And maybe your county doesn't do those opportunities, but you can still do it. And what's kind of nice, like our county doesn't do ecology, but my kids could go learn ecology and go, and they have nobody in their county to compete with, so they can go and be part of the state competition if that's what they choose to do. Don't have to have a club for that. I just have to tell the agent. So there's all these activities, and there's even one for, now that my kids are middle school, there's leadership middle school things. So in our state, there's a weekend that they'll do like, hey, here's a taste of what being a senior's like. Here's all the opportunities. Let's show you what that's about so you'll be ready to do them when you're ready to be a senior. That's really awesome. And so we're going to take part of that. There's also one in Washington, D.C. for the nation. Come on. I mean, leadership. It doesn't take much. I'm just letting my extension agent, like, we are interested in doing this. I know nobody has done this in this area, but we want to go do this. And I plan that my kids are going to go. Airplanes and cicadas, I'm trying here, folks. So there's those opportunities. You just have to be mom enough to get in there and see what's available and let your agent know that this is what you want to do and ask what you need to do to make that happen. A lot of times that means you're going to fork out the money to do it, but that's with anything you do. So then when it comes, you have seniors, and there's a lot of different networking. In our state, you can actually go see how the legislative process works, and you do mock trials. You get to go stay on campus at a university and have kind of like week-long concentration topics that you get to get invested with, and you get to learn to network with other people statewide. There's all these networking leadership opportunities that are there. Along with that, 4-H has a lot of service-oriented opportunities. And I feel like, especially as a homeschooler, I don't have the ability just to invest in a lot of different places. But I can invest in 4-H with my kids. And over the years, practice at a younger age, so when we get older, be more prepared for scholarship building opportunities. This is about growing our skills as leaders, growing our skills as professionals before we have to be professional, and yet at every turn have an opportunity to build our scholarship resume. And that's what I'm doing. And that's why I love 4-H. And that's why I love it. If I'm going to put my time into something, I'd prefer to put my time with my kids into 4-H versus a homeschool co-op. Because there's too many times that I've been in homeschool co-ops and literally something drops, a family drops out, it doesn't go on the next year. This one, there's no accountability because it's just a group of moms and we're kind of tired and we're overly done. In 4-H, at the end of the day, there's a person at the county that holds you accountable, that's a paid employee by the state, that keeps everything in check, keeps everything going the whole 9 yards. And it's not just volunteers. And for me, that's so important because I know at the end of the day, somebody's there making sure something's happening because that's her job or his job. And they want to keep their job, so they're going to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. And as a mom with a lot of kids with a little ADHD in there, that is so important, you know. And sometimes it's like, I don't know what to do, and I just contact that person. And then you have the leaders, and you can work with other leaders, and you get to be with people that have a desire to give back and pour into kids. And I mean, one of our leaders, her children are grown out of the 4-H, and now she's grandma. And she's grandma, and she has all this wonderful world experience that she's pouring back into the kids. And it's nice for me to go, how can I help you today? Because I don't want to be the one running this. And I don't have to run every show. It's so, so nice. And for me, I'm doing filmmaking club and I'm doing sewing club because as a mom of a lot going on with skills I want to share to my kids, it's nice to have that external motivation that I get it done. And I've explained that to my leader, and this is kind of where I call out to the rest of you too, is I want to make sure I teach the kids what I want to teach them that's outside of school. And it's easier when I'm held accountable by the county to do it. And at the same time, if I'm going to spend the time and teach my kids, why not let other kids have that opportunity? So I've already shared that with my agent. I said, you know, so I'm interested in doing these 2 things. There's a lot of things I'm interested in, but I'm only capable of doing these 2 things. And I want to teach them to my kids no matter what. So anybody else who wants to jump along can come jump in and join us. And that's kind of going the same thing with, as I'm this year getting through the realm of teaching my kids how to use technology as an officer and leader for 4-H. I hope by the end of the year we'll be in a place that we can come in and use our own experience from this year and the few that are going to interact with us on that to train the next set so that we can really elevate the level. Because here it is, it's always about iron sharpening iron. And you learn by doing. That's the 4-H motto, is you learn by doing. So I'm hoping that we will be able to make better leadership that sharpens the leaders I'm raising to be even better, if that makes sense. So those are kind of just like what 4-H is about. And here's the thing, as I know, I hate to put this at the very end of the video, but when it comes to 4-H, please don't think it's just a country thing. It's just an ag thing. It is not. At the county level, it tends to be 50 to 75% kind of ag related, especially in rural areas. In city areas, not so much. But in rural areas, it typically does. But as you leave that county level and you go up higher in the level, it's leadership. It is always about leadership. It's always about service and community. But with the projects you do at a county level, and that's where you implement them. Their big push right now with 4-H is STEM. STEM, STEM, STEM. If you go to 4hmall.org, I think it is, I'm going to put the link down below. You will find curriculum. You can use this in your homeschool. It's amazing curriculum from robot building, electronics, health, sewing. And not just sewing, I can use a machine, but sewing like making garments, that they take in the whole STEM aspect on doing that. Digital filmmaking is something that's growing. The sun's coming up. That's growing and coming up there. Those are all opportunities that are there with curriculum to go with. And the nice part about 4-H is it meets one time a month. Just once. So you're not overly committed. I mean, I'm sorry, but there's people that are doing sports 4 days a week. Yeah, sports is good. Do your sports. It's great. Fantastic stuff. But 4-H isn't that hard. And yet it gives that opportunity to spur the desire to learn. So anyways, I hope you like this video. Just a quick, I kind of just gave you a ton of information in 15 minutes. It's National 4-H Week. Every first week of October is National 4-H Week. And it's just a lot of fun. We do a lot of activities this week. It tends to be a very busy week. And it's just a lot of fun to get to know. I will tell you, when we first started 4-H, my children were just like, I do not see the point. And the reality is, this is where their friends are. And it's nice because we are not limited to making homeschool friends at the Homeschool Co-op. We make friends with kids that are in private school, that are in public school, that are in virtual school, that are homeschooled, you name it. And it's nice. And here's the big part. If they've graduated, they're not in it. So I don't have to worry about older kids kind of in the age, you know, that are off doing new things in their life, that are no longer kind of grade school oriented, or not grade school, but graded school oriented anymore. I don't worry about them being an influence in my kids because they're not to be part of 4-H unless they come in as a volunteer. And that's been a nice one too, because we've ran into that in some of our church groups and church activities, that even though they are even out of 18 and out of high school and still participating as a youth and kind of not moving on. And I like that I don't have to worry about that with 4-H. So there you go, with my very, like, not the best camera. I feel like I'm like, hey, can you see me? It's kind of dark. But whatever. We got to get to school. I'll talk to you later. I hope you like this video. Give me a thumbs up. Somewhere in here, I'm going to throw in a subscribe and maybe a video you might want to see somewhere, I think up there. Anyways, I will talk to you later. Bye, my friends.